Devil Jack's Creepy Carnival and the Haunted Prison. Devil Jack's Creepy Carnival. This is what Jack, Linz, Edgar, Gal, GPK, Trude, V8, and Satan, yes, this is his nickname, call themselves. They have known each other for years and think of themselves as an experienced paranormal investigation team. While looking for their next job, Linz comes across a supposedly haunted prison in her own town. How could she not have known about this? She knew all haunted places in the city, hell, even in the county. How could she have missed this? She quickly forwards the article to the rest of the gang. Edgar, Jack, Satan, GPK, and Gal answer straight away. And they are just as confused. They decide that it has to be checked out. The friends quickly found the contact details for the owner and contacted him. The old man admitted that he had tried to keep the prison out of the press for as long as possible, but it was impossible to stop the article after what happened to the kids. The old man agreed to let them in on Friday night and out again by sunrise on Saturday. Satan was a designated driver. He was always the designated driver, as he had the only car that fit all the equipment. They greeted the old man by the main gate, and Linz suddenly got the feeling she knew him from somewhere, but she couldn't figure out from where. No one else seemed to recognize the old man, so she assumed she must have seen his picture in the article. She decided not to say anything. It just wasn't important. They unload the car and make their way to the security room. Linz looks back as the old man closed and locked the door. While setting up and connecting their recording equipment, they hear a sound. It was clear and sharp, and it looked like it was coming from the cell blocks. They all stared at each other, a smile creeping onto their lips. This was a promising start. Edgar and Jack are the first to speak up. They are usually the most level-headed of the group. They decide the sound did not need to be supernatural. Could be an animal or kids that had snuck in before them. They decide to go and check it out. As they walk through the block where they thought the sound had come from, all cells appear empty. They hear the noise again and are able to locate where it came from. They run to the very last cell, only to find it completely empty. Disappointed, Jack enters the cell to have a closer look, while Edgar checks out the neighboring ones. Suddenly, they hear a loud bang of a cell door closing. Jack turns around and is horrified to find the door closed and locked. Edgar comes back and tries, unsuccessfully, to get it open. The door won't budge. Frustrated, Edgar grabs his phone, but no reception. He tells Jack to stay put and runs as fast as he can to the others. In the meantime, Linz, Gal, and Satan had heard the commotion and were already on their way to see what happened. Edgar quickly tries to explain what happened. Panicked and gasping for air, he manages to tell the others that Jack is locked in a cell and the door won't open. By the time they get back, the cell's empty. The rest of the gang bursts out in laughter, thinking that Jack and Edgar are trying to play a trick on them. But the laughter quickly subsides as they see the horror in Edgar's face. They frantically start looking for Jack and quickly see that he is nowhere to be found. Suddenly, Linz shouts, "Over here!" They had missed the isolation cell at the end of the hallway. It was dark, but they could just make out Jack's face pressed up against the tiny window in a soundless scream. His shouts and pounding could not penetrate the thick cast-iron door. What they do hear is a soft clicking and a hissing sound. Suddenly, Jack's expression changes. He seems to be gasping for air. They feel helpless. The door won't budge, and nothing they do makes even a dent to the solid cast-iron door. It's hopeless. Jack collapses and stops moving. In panic, they run back to the security room and try to call the authorities. The landline has, of course, been disconnected, and they still don't have reception on their cell phones. With the confusion and rush to call the police, they didn't notice that their stuff is gone. All that is left is one camera. Satan takes the camera and checks the footage. Nothing, just white noise. They decide that the best course of action is to go back to the front door and try to break open the lock. When they get there, horror strikes. The door, it's gone, replaced by a wall. Everyone starts either screaming, cursing, or crying. This just can't be real. This is a joke. A cruel joke, and Jack must be in on it. After calming down, they regroup and try to gather their thoughts. In true horror movie style, they decide to split. This way, more ground can be covered in less time. Whoever finds an exit first gets out and calls for help. Edgar, Chippy K, and Linz go left into cell block B, while Gal and Satan go right into cell block C. Gal remembers that cell block C was where they kept the death row prisoners. This sends a chill down their spine. They pass a room with 2 electric chairs. This seems odd. Why would there be 2 chairs in one room? And wasn't there usually a glass window where the audience could watch the execution? Must be some kind of storage room, they say to each other. Gal and Satan try not to let that freak them out and continue on. Getting out of here comes first. In the meantime, Edgar, Chippy K, and Linz go further into cell block B. They see an office and decide to check it out, as there is a window. Sadly, it's barred off, and no matter how hard they try, they can't get the bars to move. Linz realizes that there are file cabinets all around the room. After close inspection, she sees that the cabinets are full of patient files. This must have been the block where they kept the mentally ill prisoners. Deciding not to hang around, they move on. They need to find a way out. Chippy K and Linz leave the room, but Edgar doesn't. He feels a light prick in his neck, and before he gets the chance to say anything, his eyes go dark. Sadly, Linz and Chippy K don't notice it, and continue on without him. Edgar awakes, tied up to a medical bed. He is confused and disoriented. He screams for help. Chippy K and Linz turn around to find that Edgar is not with them. They were so determined to find a way out that they hadn't noticed his absence. They run towards the screams, but the room is locked and the door has a window. They see Edgar tied to the bed, many IVs sticking out of both his arms, connecting their friend to bags of blue liquid. Noticing that the liquid has almost reached the end of the tubes, they frantically try to open the door. To no avail. Just like the other one, it won't move an inch. They watch as Edgar shakes and jolts in the bed, but try as he may, he is unable to remove the IVs. He lets out one last scream and goes limp. Finally, the door clicks and is released, but it's too late. Edgar is gone. Linz checks for a pulse while GPK takes out the IVs. No pulse. They try CPR, but nothing happens. Edgar is gone. Linz is inconsolable and GPK goes silent. After a few minutes, Linz pulls herself together, looks at GPK, and with a nod, they move on. There are no words for what just happened. The search for a way out has become even more critical. Time for grieving can come later. They creep out into the hallway and see another window in the next office. Walking in, hope swells up that they will have more luck this time. The door slams shut. Linz turns in horror, while GPK stares numbly ahead of him. In cell block C, Gal and Satan are also not having any luck finding a way out. Satan checks what feels like the 100th cell, for either a window with broken bars or a key, when the cell door falls shut. Gal panics, and they decide that it would be best for her to go and find the others. Gal runs back to the beginning of the hallway to try and find the place where they had separated. Satan sits on the floor, exhausted and scared. He hears a sound and lifts his head to see a canister roll into his cell. At first, he's puzzled, too tired to process the scene unfolding before him. White gas starts pouring out of the canister with a hissing sound. This makes him snap out of his trance and stare in horror. Aware of the futility of his actions, he tries to break down the cell door anyway, until darkness takes over. GPK frantically tries to knock down the door of the office where Linz and he are locked in, while Linz has a breakdown in the corner. Suddenly, a familiar click, and the door opens. The silence is deafening. Linz stops crying, and GPK holds his breath. They stay like this for a good 10 seconds. Their brains not able to process what just happened, paralyzed by the fear for what may come. Finally satisfied that nothing horrible is going to hit them, they are able to breathe. Linz jumps up relieved and terrified at the same time. They have no idea what to do, no clue how to proceed. Something or someone is enjoying their helplessness. Linz and GPK carefully step into the hallway. A little further ahead, they see a faint light. Immediately they freeze, fearing a trap. But again, nothing happens. Slowly, they head towards the light. As it gets closer, they notice that it's a video camera. "Hey, didn't Satan take the camera?" Linz asks. GPK nods, unable or too terrified to speak. The footage shows Satan locked in a cell, sitting in the corner. They look at each other. Movement in the camera forces their eyes back to the screen. They watch in terror as a canister rolls into the cell. White gas pours out and Satan tries to force the cell door before going limp. The image goes dark and the camera switches off, out of battery. There is a thud and both of them black out. Linz wakes up first, a horrible pain in the back of her head. She is tied to a chair with a noose around her neck. Looking around, she spots GPK tied to a post. He's still unconscious, but Linz can see him breathing. She tries calling out for him, but her voice is a mere whisper. Suddenly, there is a scraping sound. Linz freezes. She can't place the sound. Her mind still clouded from the pain. She tries to look around the dark room and sees a cast iron door with a small hatch. To her horror, the hatch is open, with a gun sticking through. It fires. Linz screams. Nothing can be done. It was a direct hit. Linz retches as she feels drops of blood and what she thinks are pieces of brain hit her face. The rope around Linz's neck starts to tighten. She looks up, not able to see anything but the rope being pulled up, slowly. She gasps, screams, tries to kick, but nothing can be done. Her neck stretches. Her chair slowly lifts off the ground. Her neck can't hold the weight, and it snaps. But she doesn't die. She chokes. Her body shakes, convulses, and finally, everything goes dark. Gal and Satan wake up to find themselves tied to the electric chairs they saw earlier. Looking at each other, they try to break free. They can't. The straps are too strong. The door in front of them opens and light pours in. Gal and Satan squint. It has been dark for so long that their eyes need time to adjust. Two people walk into the room. They recognize them immediately. Gal lets out a scream of joy and Satan can't help but laugh. It's Trude and V8. Relieved, they shout, "Thanks God it's you. How did you get in? Are the others okay?" But Trude and V8 just stand there, a menacing smile on their lips. Gal asks if they can take the bonds off as they're starting to hurt. But neither of them move. Gal and Satan's smiles fade. "What's going on? Help us!" Trude glances to her right. There is a big, shiny on-off switch. With a jolt, both Gal and Satan know what is about to happen. They draw breath to say something, but Trude is faster and she flips the switch. Pleased, Trude smiles at her grandfather, takes V8's hand, and leaves.